In this lesson, we're learning about how to add and subtract rational expressions. We just looked at multiplying and dividing them. Let's do add and subtract. Okay, so you have the easy kind and you have the hard kind. So let's get the easy kind out of the way. You got the easy kind when you can look and they have the same denominator. Okay, so what you're going to do is keep that same denominator. Okay, and then you'll do whatever you're supposed to do, add or subtract the top. So this one's an add, so you're just going to add the numerators together. So if we combine like terms, we would be left with 11x minus 4, because I can put, 7x plus 4x together and -1 and -3. And we keep that same denominator. Okay, now before you quit your problem, you want to just say, hey, could I factor top and bottom and reduce this? But there's no GCF on top, no GCF on bottom, nothing you can do. So this one you get to quit. This next one will have some simplifying. Alright, so I keep the same denominator. Okay, and this one's a minus, so I need to subtract the numerators. So what you're going to have to do is take the negative and distribute it to both terms. Okay, you want to pretend like there's parentheses there and you distribute that negative. So you get a negative 4x and a positive 2y. Alright, so if you cleaned up your like terms, what is 5x minus 4x gives me 1x. And then what is 2y minus y give me? It gives me plus y. Okay. Now on the bottom, in a previous lesson, not too long ago, we factored x squared minus y squared, and I said, all right, you might not have recognized it first, but it's difference of squares, x plus y, x minus y. So what's going to happen? How can you reduce that? What cancels out? X plus y's. Now be careful, because a lot of times my students will give me the answer of, oh, the answer is just x minus y, but where is that? It's on the bottom, so put me that one on the top. Okay, so that's the same denominator. Unfortunately, we don't get those very much. Okay, most of the time we get different denominators, which means we're going to have to find a common denominator. Okay, now we'll look at how to find a common denominator real quick, and then we'll go do the problems. All right, so I kind of gave you some guidelines to go by, but this first one's really easy. I've got 5a, a squared, and 10b. Okay, do your numbers first. Okay, 5 and 10, what's my common denominator? Definitely a 10. Okay, now you have to say, I need a common denominator between a and a squared. If you've ever got that, you just always go with the higher power. Okay, and then also, what variable do I have down there? A b. So everything has to get on the list. Okay, now that's how you do those. You can see number 4, they're clearly different kinds. So when you got something like number 4 where you factor, okay, factor them. So that one is what multiplies for 15 and subtracts for 2. That's going to be a negative 5 and a positive 3. Okay, and then this one, x squared minus 25, is x plus 5, x minus 5. So the easiest way I can tell you to do your common denominator here is to look and say, how many parentheses do you have? You've got 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your common denominator is one of each. So you say, all right, I need an x minus 5. Okay, then I need an x plus a 3. I need an x plus 5. But when I get to this last one, do I need an x minus 5? No, because I've already got it. So I don't have to write it twice. So if they repeat, you can just list them like that. So it's one of each. All right, so let's do those 4 problems where we actually add and subtract with those. All right, so the first one is kind of that easy kind. So what we want to do is get our common denominator. These I work a little bit different than the other kind. So common denominator between 3 and 9 is going to be what? It's going to be a 9. And then I told you, okay, when you've got something like an x and an x squared, we just had an a and a squared, you always go with the higher power. So I'm going to do 9x squared as my common denominator. So this one doesn't change. Okay, but now I got to figure out what the numerator is. What do you have to multiply 3 by to make 3x by to make it 9x squared? You'd have to multiply it by another 3x. So the top by 3x would be 15x. So now we can do these just like we did on the first screen. 15x plus 2x plus 1, so what is that, 17x plus 1 over 9x squared. You don't see too many of these kind, but I did want to show you one. Most of the kinds that you see are going to look like the next 3, so make sure you understand these. next 3. All right, so now when you have different denominators, first thing you want to do is you factor it if you can. So could you factor x minus 2 or x minus 3? No. Okay, well then put parentheses around them. You're going to draw me a long fraction bar, and you're going to put your common denominator on the bottom. So we just practiced picking a common denominator. Okay, you see 2 parentheses, you want one of each that are different. So my common denominator is an x minus 2 and an x minus 3. Okay, here's what you want to do. You put your first numerator up there, which is an 8. And you're going to look at the parenthesis that the 8 came with. He came with the x minus 2. You're going to multiply him by the one he didn't come with, which would be the x minus 3. And then you put the sign in the middle and you put your next numerator. Okay, let's look at the 2x. The 2x came with an x minus 3, so you multiply him by the one he didn't have down here, so you multiply him by the x minus 2. That's the hard part of the problem. The rest of it is easy algebra simplification. What you're going to do is distribute your 8, so you get 8x minus 24. And you would distribute your negative 2x, and you would get a negative 2x squared plus 4x. All right, clean it up. Okay, so I've got a negative 2x squared. All right, 8x and 4x gives me 12x. And I've got a negative 24. Now, you never want to leave it alone until you ask yourself, hey, can I factor it and reduce it? Okay, well, on the top, you can take out a negative 2. And you'd be left with x squared minus 6x plus 12 over that. All right, now let's see if I'm going to be able to factor that. Can you think of anything that multiplies for 12 and adds for 6? Well, 12 is 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Any of those adding for 6? Nope. So stop right here. Okay. All right, let's do it again. All right, it's the first thing you're going to do, factor them if you can. You can. That one's x plus 3, x minus 3. And that one's x minus 3, x plus 2. So you factor. Okay. Draw me a long fraction bar. Okay, now let's put our common denominator on the bottom. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4 parentheses. I get one of each. So I need an x plus a 3. I need an x minus a 3. I don't need another x minus 3, but I need an x plus 2. Okay. All right, your first numerator is a 6. The 6 came with the x plus 3 and x minus 3, so you multiply it by the one it didn't come with, which would be the x plus 2. Put your sign in the middle and put your next numerator. Let's do the 5. The 5 came with the x minus 3, x plus 2. So which one did it not come with? It did not come with x plus 3. All right, that's the hard part. Now you're good. Distribute a 6. 6x plus 12. Distribute a negative 5. You get a negative 5x minus 15. It's a pain to write the bottom over and over again, but do it. All right, clean up the top. What is 6x minus 5x? Gives me x. And 12 minus 15 gives me a negative 3, and that makes me smile because before I put the final answer in the blank, can I reduce it? Yeah, what knocks out? The x minus 3's. So what's left on top is a 1, and on bottom is a x plus 3, x plus 2. Okay. And last one. Okay. So factor it. So difference of squares, x plus y, x minus y. We've run across that one 2 other times. These don't factor. Okay. All right, so draw me your parenthesis. Common denominator on the bottom, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 parentheses, but let's get our different ones. I would need 1 x plus y and 1 x minus y. Okay. So if I put my 2x up there, was the 2x missing anything? It came with them both, so I don't have to multiply the 2x by anything. All right, but then put your plus and your 1. All right, so let's look at this one. That positive one came with x plus y, so I'll multiply him by the one he didn't have, which would be x minus y. And then I have a minus 1. So the minus 1 came with x minus y, so I'll multiply him by the one he didn't have, which would be x plus y. All right, so let's see what we got. 2x plus, if you distribute a 1, you get plus x minus y. If you distribute a negative 1, you get a negative x minus a y over that denominator. Alright, so let's clean it up. You got a 2x plus an x gives me 3x minus an x gives me back down to 2x. And then your y is negative y, and negative y is a minus 2y. Alright, nothing reduces here, but what can you take out on top? A 2. Good. And then now what knocks out? Good. X minus y, so you're left with a 2 on top and an x plus y on the bottom. Okay. Go practice your homework.